Okay, let's unpack this. The world of AI, it's just moving incredibly fast, right? And for a company like OpenAI, well, it means navigating some really complex power dynamics. Today we're diving into two pretty big developments. They seem almost contrasting, but they're really reshaping OpenAI's path.
Yeah, what's really critical here, I think, is just the sheer intensity of these shifts. You've got, on one hand, this major new government contract puts OpenAI right in the national security arena. And then on the other hand, there's this growing friction with Microsoft. Their, long-standing strategic partner will try and connect these dots just using the facts from our sources, see what picture emerges.
So what does this actually mean for you watching this space? We'll explore how OpenAI is sort of working through this crucial financial transformation while also expanding into these, well, high-stakes areas. And all this while that core partnership seems under real strain. Let's maybe start with OpenAI's new frontier. Our sources are pointing to this significant $200 million contract with the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD. And apparently it's the first OpenAI contract actually listed on the DoD website. It's not just a one-off deal either, it seems. It's part of something called OpenAI for Government.
Exactly. And this program, it's really aimed at offering, customized AI models, specific support for U.S. government agencies. The applications they mentioned are pretty broad, too. Things like improving healthcare access for military personnel, streamlining how they review procurement data, and even supporting proactive cyber defense. So beyond the big number, the $200 million, it signals a real strategic shift. OpenAI is moving from mostly commercial stuff into national security. And you see competitors doing similar things, right? Anthropic and Dural, they're also moving into defense.
That is a pretty big expansion into a whole new sector. Do the sources say anything about how this impacts their public image, given their past focus on, safe AI for everyone?
The sources we looked at, they mainly stick to the contracts, the strategy, not so much the public perception side. What seems clear, though, is that this move kind of follows OpenAI's stated interest in national security. You had Sam Altman's comments before, and now former NSA Director Paul Nakasone is on their board. It all points in that direction.
Okay, so OpenAI is securing new ground, significant ground in the government sector, but, and this is crucial, while they're doing that, expanding into these really high-stakes areas, there's this intense and increasingly public fight brewing with Microsoft. Our sources are saying this alliance, once, celebrated, is now at a boiling point. Maybe this government push is partly a way for them to gain more independence.
Well, the core dispute really gets to the heart of that friction. A key flashpoint seems to be this proposed acquisition, about $3 billion, for a coding startup called Windsurf. Now, Windsurf does AI-powered code generation. And this is critical because OpenAI is worried, apparently, about Microsoft getting access to Windsurf's IP. I mean, Microsoft already has broad access to OpenAI's IP, and they have their own competing product, GitHub Copilot, so you can see the tension.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a major conflict point. But just to play devil's advocate slightly, couldn't Microsoft just argue they're using the terms of their deal, leveraging their investment like any big partner would in this kind of situation?
That's a fair point. And it probably highlights the leverage Microsoft feels it has. There's another big disagreement, too, around the equity stake Microsoft wants in OpenAI's new for-profit structure. Reportedly, it's more than OpenAI wants to give up. And this matters because Microsoft's approval, well, it's critical for OpenAI's fundraising, maybe even going public down the line. Plus, all this tension is mounting as OpenAI faces that really tight deadline end of 2025 to become fully for-profit. If they fail, they could lose, $20 billion from that big SoftBank-led round? Huge stakes.
And Microsoft isn't sitting still either, right? They're developing their own LLMs internally under Mustafa Suleyman, trying to rely less on OpenAI, and their Azure OpenAI services, they're already cleared for classified DoD work.
Indeed. And there's one more really crucial point, this AGI clause. It sounds technical, but it shows Microsoft's thinking long-term, or maybe their concern. They want continued access to OpenAI's tech, even if OpenAI achieves artificial general intelligence, AGI. That theoretical point where AI equals or beats human thinking. Normally, hitting AGI could actually terminate their partnership.
Yeah.
So Microsoft is basically saying, even if you become super intelligent AI, we still need access. It really underlines how high the stakes are in this partnership.
Wow. So if you're someone like SoftBank looking at putting potentially billions into this $40 billion round, you must be feeling pretty nervous seeing this friction, especially with that 2025 deadline getting closer. It really does feel like watching a high-stakes corporate thriller unfold.
It absolutely does. And this dual pressure, the government expansion and the Microsoft tension, it really brings OpenAI to a pivotal moment.
Exactly. OpenAI is clearly pushing hard to redefine itself, redefine its key relationships, how they manage this delicate balance, ambitious growth versus these intense internal power struggles that's going to shape not just OpenAI's own future, but the whole competitive landscape of AI itself. What a fascinating time to be watching all this play out.